99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You already know what time it is. And right here on this Monday night, we are joined by Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's finest. We got Old Neon right here, live on YouTube, and of course, the radio station airwaves as well. How are you guys doing tonight, all the way out there in Pittsburgh?
Good.
Awesome. Yeah.
You can hear the intro, by the way, if that's of interest to you.
You actually can or you can't?
I can, yes.
Okay, perfect. I have figured it. Guests can hear it as well as the audience, because I have saw people like bob their heads to it. Honestly, I mean, I find it's better than just going live and being like, "Hey, we're live." It's more of a great icebreaker for the people watching.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you guys are busy individuals, so of course I'm not going to take you away from your Monday too long. But I got to take you back to the beginning of this amazing band. I have to ask, what is the story actually behind Old Neon? Like, how did you guys actually first meet and actually come together as one to form this amazing Pittsburgh-based band?
I had some. Well, I was kind of playing acoustic, and I was getting fed up with that and had wanted to do something pretty loud for a while. And I had a bunch of demos, and actually the band originally started as just me sending like basic track outlines to people on Fiverr so that I could get like a demo of the songs. And then I put those demos online and just started trying people out. I was posting like ads on Instagram like, "Hey, can you sing?" And then Drew, our current singer, eventually responded to one of those ads after, the first 100 people or so. And then who came next? Mike, right? Mike was a Craigslist response. And then Zach here had, I guess, been in contact with our friend's band, which is I Swallow Ghosts. He was going to audition for them, but it somehow fell through, or they found someone before he auditioned. But their singer gave me his contact info, and I just DM'd him, and I was like, "Hey, will you play in my band?" And he was like, I'll think about it. Can we meet first? And then we met, and then B, who's our current guitarist, or our current other guitarist, besides Mike, was actually a replacement for a former member that joined, actually, kind of started the band with me, named Chris. And he decided to, spend time being an adult and actually working on his finances and paying off his house. So B was a nice replacement because they're incredibly irresponsible. So we could count on them to not worry about any of those things.
And I got to say as well, you guys have phenomenal chemistry. You can definitely hear it in your guys' records. But the one thing I have to ask, and I know it's a cliche kind of question, I don't normally ask this, but I really love your guys' band name. Honestly, I really feel like it really suits you guys. So when it comes to Old Neon, how did you guys acquire that name?
It was so I don't know if you've ever read the short story Good Old Neon, which is by David Foster Wallace. And it's a really incredibly sad story, but I had always loved the name Good Old Neon. But of course, I looked on Spotify and someone had already taken that name, and I was like, fine, I'll be Old Neon because I'm not giving this name up. So.
And I got to say, especially at this day and age with the music industry, like anybody could be a band, anyone could be an artist. So there's so many names that are great names that are actually already taken. And it's mostly people that do like one or two songs and they don't do it again after that. The good names should be saved for the serious individuals like yourselves.
It can be frustrating because I remember going through names. I had a few. I wanted to call the band Villains, but that was taken by like 50 bands. And then I wanted to call the band Heel Champ, which is like a wrestling thing.
Yeah.
But nobody else in the band watches wrestling but me. So it was like, all right, this doesn't fit. And it took a while, but Good Old Neon was one of those early ones that had kind of been, like at the forefront of my thought process. And, that it was one that I kind of set aside once I realized that the actual title was taken. And then I just kept coming back to it. And eventually I guess it just settled in my brain,
And when it comes to heel champs, what you should have did was actually sit them down and choose a pay-per-view where you can reel them in and get them hooked. You got to
I
find
thought
that one pay-per-view where you can line a hook and sinker them. You know what I mean? Just reel them in.
I thought it was brilliant because you think of like all the merch opportunities with like different shaped title belts and everything else, but
Yeah.
Zach specifically like hates wrestling. We fight about it all the time.
I don't know, man. I feel like you just gotta watch an old Attitude Era pay per view and tell me and tell me that ain't great. You know what I mean? Stone Cold Steve Austin, like The Rock. You know what I mean? Man, throw on WrestleMania 17, dude. Show him just show him a WrestleMania 17. And if he says he doesn't like that pay per view, then I don't know what to say.
See, I always take a different tact because I will send people. This is an old match, and I think it happened in Japan, but it was Will Ospreay versus Ricochet. And people often get so mesmerized by all the flipping that they're like, oh, this is kind of fun. And that's how, like, I get them with the flips, and then I show them, like, an older, slower match, which is what I generally prefer.
I always like showing people wrestling if I know they're violent and they love violence. Old ECW days, man. Mm-hmm. Show them like Terry Funk versus like Mick versus Cactus Jack or something like that. Just reel them in with the violence.
We're lucky because Mike is excessively violent.
I was gonna say I had a very well regarded GeoCities website in the late '90s that dedicated to ECW match reviews and so on.
You had one, or you looked at one? Oh, you had your own. Good for you.
I stay up at 2 a.m. on Sunday mornings watching the TV taping on. They were on at midnight or whatever that crap was. So yeah.
So we can bring heel champ back. Get rid of.
I could just never catch the fever. The only wrestling related thing I ever really enjoyed was there's some guy, I don't know his name. I wish I did. I don't know, I guess maybe he's like an amateur wrestler, but like I don't want to. I feel bad like saying that, like just because I don't know what level he's at. But anyways, he does. He has a signature move that involves a hot dog, and I really enjoy that. Where like he drops his elbow on someone and mid drop he takes a bite out of the glizzy, and I really enjoy that. But that's the only wrestling thing I would ever willingly watch, so long as there's glizzies involved.
There's a lot of like silly comedy spots that if you like that one, I think we could get you into some other stuff.
And also, May 13th of 2022, you guys were actually featured on All Hail Buckets. All Hail Buckets single called Happier Now. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this collaboration. And of course, how did you guys actually get connected with Buckets?
I think Drew is college friends with him, right?
Yeah, that was somebody a singer knew in school and through his prior life.
Yeah, they made a little pop song. I don't want to say little. They made a great big enormous pop song, and it's a cool song. I don't know the guy, but I really like that song, so happy to lend Drew's voice to it with my permission only, of course.
And also as well, you guys were actually named a Pittsburgh Artist of the Week back June 26th of 2023 from 91.3 WYEP, Pittsburgh's independent music source. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about that opportunity. And of course, what was it like actually being recognized by like your local radio station?
I don't even remember that, Mike.
They're one of definitely the better stations in town in terms of supporting the local scene, local music. They sponsor a lot of like little, I don't even say little, but local festivals and things like that through the year. And every week they have a Pittsburgh featured artist, and that was the week we put out our record, or I guess it was the week right after our record came out. We had our album, our first headlining like release show was that week. So Morning Joey, Joey, their DJ in the morning, he's real supportive of us. They play local stuff in the evening, so it's just one of the stations we're lucky to have.
And also as well, June 23rd, 2023, you guys actually released the amazing 15-track studio album titled Can't Fucking Wait. I was wondering, what is the story and inspiration behind this phenomenal album, man? Because not only is the album title phenomenal, the record itself is actually pretty kick-ass.
I think it is a testament to how we don't know when to say when, because we just kept going on that record?
Well, so Sean, as he kind of said, started the band to play some of these songs that he had written. And so there was, I don't know, half dozen, 8 of them we were kind of working on together at the time. So pretty quickly, we found ourselves getting offered like pretty nice pays to play for an hour or 2 hours. It's, okay, we don't have that many songs. So we just sort of tried to put stuff out as quick as we could, tried to put a song out a month roughly through 22 and 23. And that's how we ended up kind of with a collection of so many. And then we dropped the number more when the record came out. So it was really just sort of the final effort of, you know, the stuff that Sean had brought to the band, ideas that Drew had brought, things that Zach and I had helped create as well, kind of after the fact. And, you know, that was part of, I think, the way we were working at the time was just sort of individually trying to create songs and bring them to the band. And now I think we've moved on to trying to be much more collaborative in what we're doing, and we'll have some new stuff out this year that is kind of the fruit of that effort. So yeah, it was an awesome start for us, and to have that record and some of those songs, and a lot of them are still some of our top played ones. Obviously, fun to play live.
I'm glad that you like the title, because well, you know, I like the title as well. Man, putting an album out, a debut album out with the word "fucking" in the title makes it so hard to market.
Can we say that word?
We're completely uncensored, so definitely
Okay.
swear away, man.
You can't do that in Pittsburgh.
Well,
Yeah,
I will admit, like Punk World Radio is an internet radio station.
Oh,
so
perfect.
I mean, just
Fuck it then.
Exactly, fuck it.
So I'm glad it landed for you, because I mean, it's landed for a lot of people, but damn, God forbid you try to run an ad for an album called Can't Fucking Wait. You'll never do it. They'll never let you.
Yeah, it's tough. It was an uphill battle. We also were, I think, like prior to release, there was like a little bit of a battle because we were gonna put like an asterisk in the like where the U is, and Chris and I were like so hardline, like, no, it will say fuck or we are changing the name. I'm not backing down. And then like a week later we were like, oh, we can't market this album. Fuck. So I don't know. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot, I guess. But I didn't want to be the kind of person who would put a little star where the was and fuck. That just didn't make me feel good. It made me feel like I was trying to water it down. Even though I don't think there's a curse word on the album, is there? I think maybe one.
We say there's a couple.
In the chorus of What Do You Love?
On the radio. Yeah.
I whisper cunt in the background a few times, but other than
that. My wife says fuck on the record.
Jesus.
But you know what? This record has a lot of fucks and cunts, but the one thing it doesn't have is not enough cowbell. It needs more cowbell, guys.
I don't think there's any cowbell either.
No, we worked with the producer on our most recent round of recordings. We've always recorded ourselves, and he was very much like, oh, what ideas do you have for aux percussion? We're like, what? That never occurred to us before.
But still no cowbell.
Yeah, still no.
I gotta say, the one song off Can't Fucking Wait that I really enjoy is actually Save Me From Myself. I know there's like 15 songs on this entire record, but Save Me From Myself is actually such a killer song.
You know, it's funny, we were talking about this not long ago, because we're kind of transitioning into a period of, instead of kind of just playing the songs live that are the top whatever played on Spotify, we're kind of moving into like everyone picks a couple songs to play live, and we'll run through those. And one of the things that kind of gave me that idea is because pretty much our top 5 or whatever on Spotify are what they are, but pretty much every time I talk to someone outside of like, you know, either at a show or like outside of just like the digital space, they almost always tell me that their favorite song is something other than what is, you know, believed to be popular on Spotify. So that's when we started kind of thinking like, maybe we're maybe we're playing the wrong songs, so now we're kind of rethinking that structure a little bit. But Save Me is one of those songs that we've played maybe once this year. And I've heard from a couple people, oh, you never play that song. I'm so glad you play that, so we're still kind of figuring that out.
We opened our Halloween show with it, which was pretty fun.
And also, while we're still on the topic of records and projects, last year, August 16th, 2024, you guys actually released your most recent EP titled Maybe This Is All There Is. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this record, and of course, where can we buy or stream ourselves a copy of it today?
I mean, it's available on all streaming platforms. We don't have any physical formats of it available, but I don't know, say if you really did want to spend money on it, it's on Bandcamp, I think. But as far as the story behind it, I mean, I don't know what the larger story would be. I might not be the right person to have started answering this question, but
yeah, Drew kind of wrote. So one of the songs on it, Just Friends, was an acoustic song that Drew used to play at our shows as kind of like a breather for the band. So like mid-set, we would be able to walk off and get a drink of water, especially
if it was a long set or something like that. If we were asked to pull double duty or something, he would do that.
Right. And then that kind of became like, well, why don't we record a band version of it? And everything else was kind of like, I wrote Empty Frames, and that started as like a riff that I was screwing around with in practice. And I remember Drew specifically saying, you kind of got something there. And I was just, I didn't hear it at the time, but it came together pretty nicely. And then the other two songs Drew wrote, and I can't even fathom or venture to guess what his headspace must be most of the time. So,
well, Whatever Helps You Sleep at Night was nearly on our record. Like,
oh yeah, that would have been song 16. Yeah. That's right. The infamous song 16.
Yeah.
But that was where we finally said, like, oh, 15's fine, but 16 is just too much.
Yeah.
And
we would have had that, if he would have had that a little more ready a couple weeks earlier, Zach would have probably ended up recording drums to it for that. But so we played that live even once or twice before that Can't Fucking Wait came out, and then so that one had been sitting around for a while. And again, these were all sort of made the same sort of way, just bringing an idea and like a fairly fully formed idea, and then have everyone kind of learn it, or like maybe make up some parts. But again, that's sort of what we were really tried to change coming out of that. I feel like in some ways, like, it was just a weird year for us, and personally, every one of us had weird personal things going on, so just making that was a little bit less fun and than the prior ones. But I think that was really good for us to learn, kind of how we wanted to keep working together and how we could, try to grow off of what we learned making it.
Yeah, Mike, now that you say that, and I think it's very important that you said that. Yeah, I think the larger story behind Maybe This Is All There Is that
it nearly was.
Yeah, like there's some really good songs on it, and also like being in a band is really hard sometimes, and like there's 5 people in Old Neon, and there's 5 different visions of like what Old Neon should be, I guess. And so like throughout making Maybe This Is All There Is, and like working through stuff that comes after it, like it kind of illuminated some weak points that we had as a band that we really had to just like start having conversations about and actively work toward overcoming. And this next record that we have coming out sometime this year really will show the fruits of that labor, I think, as Mike put it earlier, because we were able to just start being a lot more collaborative and start despite there being 5 different visions in theory of like what Old Neon should be, finding where they meet and following kind of that path and making music that that we're all able to contribute to and feel in a really significant way. Yeah, I don't know if you guys would also agree with that.
Yeah, it's really tough because I think through making those first two, so like the first record was almost, and I think it, the proof is kind of in listening to it. It almost sounds like the record was made by two people, because it was like there was Drew's half of the record and my half of the record. And then as we started coming together for Maybe This Is All There Is, I think that process of like togetherness exposed the fact that like we had very serious problems with each other as it related to like ownership of the sound and the songs, and that was creating a massive rift between us personally. And it wasn't until we had a sort of like brawl out fight via Zoom one day. Like we weren't even in the same room. I don't even know that any of us could have stomached being in the same room at that point. But we were all, I know myself, and I could speak for B, we're both like so checked out and like done with this and like being a part of this and the personnel at times. And it was like after that conversation where we all were kind of like sort of like daring each other to quit, but also like expressing how much like the reason that we couldn't get along and that we all wanted to quit is because of how much every little thing meant to each of us, and how little concessions were being made on anyone's side. And I think that I like, strangely enough, in like all telling each other to fuck off, and like me specifically like saying I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, and B saying that they were too affected by me like putting the band in turmoil constantly by saying like I'm out, I can't do this anymore, that we really kind of like actually for the first time became friends. It's really like, I mean, we had always been friends, but like it was like a massive step up where we all were like, okay, if we're going to move forward, here are the things that each of us require, and here are the things that for me like necessitate staying in the band and continuing to work on this. And I think it was through like a really serious discussion about whether we should even be a band anymore that we actually became, like extremely close. And then immediately after that, we had to drive to Philly because we had booked time, 5 hours away to make this next EP. And then like having to go from that like knockdown drag out fight to then living together for like 8 days was
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was just like a huge like awakening, but also like when you're in the trenches that deep with people, I think a lot of it for me anyway was like I didn't see how much effort that everyone was putting into it, because I felt like I was kind of like pulling the cart. But then like when you're spending 14 hours a day for 8 days in the studio, and like Mike is just like trying to perfect like one guitar tone or note or sequence of notes, you then begin to like appreciate how like deep it goes for everyone. And I think like that was a real turning point from us like not even being here today to us like having like literally sitting up all night on Saturday playing Mario Party together. And it's like just a night and day difference between like where we were 6 months ago and where we are now.
And the one thing I have to say quickly before we start going on to the next question, Andrew Barnes actually just said it's so awesome the amount of new individuals that introduce us through this channel. I just wanted to say, Andrew, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. But with that being said, jumping back into it, March 1st, 2025, so just in less than 2 months, you guys are gearing up to actually be taking the stage at King Fly Spirits out there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What can the Old Neon fans actually expect from this up and coming performance? And of course, March 1st is still a little ways away. So where can we actually snag ourselves some tickets?
They have a at kingflyspirits.com, they have a link to where you can purchase tickets. I think the expectation is that it's just going to be a big party, and we're going to play a bunch of new songs, so it'll be good.
Yeah, my friend Matt, a friend of all of our bands, really started a new project called Boy in Blue Stripes. Matt worked with us to mix and master Maybe This Is All There Is. That was his work. So this will be his band's first show, and then coming out from Philly and Jersey are West Main and Buff Out. So West Main's Friends of Friends. We're excited to meet those dudes. They know a couple of other guys from the Pittsburgh scene, so it should be a good time.
And obviously, I do know you actually mentioned a few moments ago about a brand new record that you guys are currently working on. But aside from the brand new record, and of course, the show coming up March 1st, what is next for Old Neon? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's broadcast? Anything you guys do still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 99.9 FM tonight.
We're going to be really focused on the new music this year. We did 5 songs in November. Actually just finished tracking the last one about 2 weeks ago. The stuff, we have the first few rounds of mixes back, and then it'll be off for mastering. We'll hope to get the first single out this spring, try to figure out exactly what that time frame will be, but that's one of the things that right now we're the most excited about. We're going to do our first kind of longer weekender tour this later this spring. We'll have that announced some point whenever all the details
Eventually.
Yeah, when everything's ready. Couple of things I know we have this summer that'll be pretty cool, as well as a couple of other shows we plan on doing in Pittsburgh from now till year end. But yeah, we'll be going to more cities, I think, this year than we've ever been. We've already been to New York this year. We're going to hit some other ones throughout the state of PA and into Ohio and elsewhere. So it's hard for us to get across the country and hard for us to get too far from home, but definitely want to try to play in more places this year.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, how can we go about following Old Neon across all social media platforms? That way we can stay updated on future performances and, of course, your guys' brand new record that you guys are currently putting the finishing touches on.
Add Old Neon Music everywhere.
Yeah, we made it really easy. And our website is oldneonmusic.com, and then every website is just at Old Neon Music. So you can find us anywhere you like.
I gotta say, first and foremost, guys, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station airways a bit of your time. It was such an honor speaking with you three tonight. I really cannot wait for this brand new Old Neon record when it does drop to the general public. I'm definitely excited just to see what you guys do with it, because I love your guys' sound. I love what you guys brought to the table. So I know this third record is going to be just as good. So I'm definitely excited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
You're most certainly welcome, guys. Have yourselves a phenomenal rest of your Monday night, and of course, a kick-ass week as well.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.